Thank you so much for joining us, Arvind. Truly a pleasure to have you on Brand Equity.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm going to start with your IPO, your listing on the NYSE. How much has changed internally from a strategic perspective post the IPO?
The honest answer is not much has changed.
Okay.
It was a great event for the company. I think for all of us who were there, who helped build the company, it was just a great point in our journey. But the point we were trying to emphasize to our employees was it was just one step in the journey. I think we've been focused on the same things, really putting our members first, thinking through about members before revenue, and focusing on investing in the long term.
So $9 billion, that was the valuation, if I'm not wrong.
It depends on the day you look at it.
Okay. So, how much of it is linked to the fact that, there is a belief that there is a bubble in America when it comes to this space, and really you're one of the few companies that have benefited from it?
So, I think, the markets will determine what we're worth. I guess what I can say is the following. I had the good fortune of being in Silicon Valley during the late 90s. And there were a bunch of companies that were created that had no revenue, had no business model, and still went public. And I think things are very different today. I mean, if you look at the companies that are leaders in the space, companies like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, we are real companies. We have real revenue, real profits. It's a very different kind of landscape than we saw 10 years ago. And I think in the last few years there have been investments in companies that may not ever make it.
How do you see advertising increasing on LinkedIn? Because, that's really quite complicated, because on one hand, you're looking to increase advertising. On the other hand, you don't want to clutter the user's experience.
Right.
So how do you maintain that fine balance?
Our belief always is that our members come first, and the member experience comes first. So we're never going to have to be a site where you see advertising everywhere. But we think targeted advertising actually adds value to our members. It gives them products and services that they may be interested in. And so for us, we are investing a lot in our advertising platform. And I think what we're seeing for marketers is the ability on LinkedIn to do something different that they can do anywhere else. And the different thing they're doing on LinkedIn is they're engaging and building a community of stakeholders that they can cultivate to leverage for social media purposes. So here in India, for example, Amex has done a really interesting campaign where they built another website where, working with LinkedIn, where our members can go to that website. They can sign up for a certain program, leveraging their LinkedIn identity, but whatever they do on that website shows up on their LinkedIn feed. And then people can basically follow, can interact with those, what's showing up on the LinkedIn feed, and spread it to others. Philips has built a very successful stakeholder community on LinkedIn around areas where they want to show thought leadership. And they've done it in healthcare and lighting, and built a very large community of tens of thousands of stakeholders who represent customers, members, thought leaders in areas where they want to show that they're a leader. And it's really helped shape the perception of Philips across communities that they really care about.
So how did you get remunerated? I mean, is there a particular model in terms of, the number of users who propagate this? I mean, what is really the math and the formula?
Sure. So for our marketing solutions business, people are paying essentially for reaching out to members. So they're paying for media. They're paying to bring people into a community. Now again, but once they've done that, a lot of the work that the marketer does is free. They don't make any. We don't charge them anything for it. They're cultivating a stakeholder community, and again, if they're doing that very successfully, they don't pay us any more money.
Right. How is APAC taken to LinkedIn, and which of the three, in terms of recruiting solutions, I'm talking about premium memberships or advertising, has taken to the market more strongly?
Sure. So I'd like to think that we're still very early here in APAC. That still means that we already have 20 million members. So our biggest markets in Asia Pacific are India, Australia, and Singapore. And we now not only have members in those countries, but we also have teams on the ground in those countries. We've also now established an office in Japan. In terms of revenues, we are seeing there are differences, again, across from market to market. But I'd say that generally here in Asia Pacific, hiring solutions is also the biggest line of business for us.
Okay. In the West, premium membership was the big hit, the big revenue driver. Has APAC responded the same way?
Now, so we think of premium solutions as a set of services that are only appealing to a small subset of our members. Generally speaking, they fall into the category of what we like to refer to as outbound professionals. These are people who have to interact with people they don't know every day to do their job. Sure. That includes, recruiters, includes salespeople, journalists, venture capitalists, business development professionals. These are people who constantly are out there talking to more people. And so we tend to think of premium solutions as specifically targeted to them. But for the vast majority of our members, over the long term, they'll always continue to use LinkedIn for free, and that's the way we think about our business.
Sure. How do you view the growth of the internet versus the growth of mobile in this region?
Well, mobile is a big source of growth for LinkedIn everywhere in the world. So our users on mobile have grown 400% over the last year. So it's growing for us everywhere in the world. But you're absolutely right. Here in Asia Pacific, I think mobile is going to be increasingly an important source of growth for us. And as a company, we're investing a great deal in mobile. So I think right now, I'd say mobile usage in APAC isn't too different from the rest of the world. But I think as we continue to grow here, I'm guessing that we'll see increased rate of growth in mobile in APAC than we are than anywhere else in the world. But
thank you so much. Truly a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.